Yo, welcome to the channel. In this video today, we're going over the Stamina Templar for the Ascending Tide patch. So, maximum health is 19.6k, maximum stamina is 31.4, stamina recovery unbuffed is 1.6, and weapon damage is 5k unbuffed. Our weapon critical is 47.9%, and our physical penetration is 1.6. Now, weapon critical isn't really going to get any higher than what it is, unless you have like a sorcerer in your group or something like that. But for the most part, this is where our crit is going to stay at by yourself or usually in 4-man content. It might get around 50%, but it's really not going to get any higher than that. I have no issues with this. I can show you the test. I'll show you the test at the end. DPS wise, I'm absolutely comfortable with the set that I'm running. Penetration is a little low. You can always change that out by changing one of the pieces of the monster mask. We'll get to that. Now, I have 64 points into stamina. Now, I am a Khajiit, so my stats may look a little different than yours. Now, keep in mind, you can be any race and can complete almost any content. You can pretty much complete any content. Now, if you're looking for more of those high-end, the top DPS, Dark Elf, Orc, and Khajiit are your top three. Honestly, I get confused between which one's one, a Dark Elf or Orc. I want to say Dark Elf, and Khajiit is number 3. So, honestly, I believe Dark Elf is number 1, but I've seen people say Orc is number 1, followed by Dark Elf. I guess it really just comes down to preference because I think they are so close to one another that it really doesn't matter which one you go with. But you can also be a Red Guard, you can be a Wood Elf, you can be an Imperial or a High Elf. It really doesn't matter if you're not looking to push that top DPS. So, boon I'm running is the Thief. The food I'm running is Lava Foot Soup and Saltries. Gives me an extra max stamina and stamina recovery. If you feel like you need more max health at 19.6, I'm absolutely comfortable with where I'm at. I do not need it. But if you feel like you do, you can always go Dubious Gamorn. I love that little effect. It is so cool. I don't know when they added it, but it's absolutely cool. It gives you 22.8k max health. Your stamina will dip to 29.3, and your stamina recovery drops to pretty much 1.4 unbuffed. So, like I said, you can always go with that. If you feel like you don't need any recovery, because trust me, Templars absolutely okay with recovery. They have restoring focus, and they also have repentance. So, if you feel like you don't need recovery, you can always go with Bystat Food, which gives you max health and max stamina. It gives you like 5.4k max health, and stamina recovery is like 5k. So, I think it's like braised rabbit spring vegetables. So, I mean, it's very cheap to make. It's a blue recipe. You won't have any trouble finding somebody that has it, or buying it on the guild traders for extremely cheap. So, champion points, green tree, passive wise, fortune's favors, gilded fingers, just an extra increase in gold. Gilded 10% gold from everything. Fortune favors, an extra 50% gold from treasure chests and safe boxes. Then we also have steadfast enchantment. Basically, when our charge on our weapon goes off, this gives us a 50% chance to not consume that charge. So it's worth having. Now, for once I keep on my bar, treasure hunter, increase quality of items you find in treasure chests. Liquid efficiency, whenever you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. Sometimes you do not have to use weapon power pots in this setup anymore. You used to, but you don't now. But I still keep it on there just in case I'm using, I use weapon power pots when I'm doing more harder content. So, because trash pots, they give you like 5k stamina back, 5 or 6 somewhere around in there, where weapon power pots will give you close to 8k. So, this right here, that extra stamina, I would rather have. So, at least with this, it gives me a 10% chance to not to consume it, so it saves me gold. Now, I also keep Master Gatherer and Plentiful Harvest on my bar. Master Gatherer gives me a 50% reduced time in harvesting, and Plentiful Harvest gives me a 50% chance to get double resources from those nodes. Now, while I'm waiting on trials, groups to form, whatever it may be, I'm usually farming, and that's why I keep these here. If you don't care about that, and that's just not your thing, Steed's Blessing gives you an extra 20% movement speed out of combat, and Rationer gives you an extra 30 minutes on your food or drink buffs. Now, Red Tree, there are so many passives. The main, a good one to keep is Hero's Vigor, which gives you an extra 560 max health. Now, you have Defiance, Tumbling, Mystic Tenacity, Sprinter, Hasty, Tireless Guardian, Fortification, Nimble Protector, Savage Defense, and Bash and Brutality. Honestly, after Hero's Vigor, when it comes to a STAM character, a lot of these, you could prioritize almost any of these. But I do like Savage Defense and Bash and Brutality due to the fact that we are a stamina character and we're up close. If we have to get a bash, these kind of help us out. This will reduce the cost of bash, and this will increase the damage of that bash. Now, another passive I like to have is Tempered Soul. If you have the resources, this is really good to have. You can really go 10 either way here, so you can go from this side or this side and go up. Basically, if you get caught sleeping and you get dropped, and when you get rezzed, you'll have 10% more of your resources back. So this just kind of helps out to where you ain't got to be living on a prayer where you have a potion up to use or you're getting orbs or shards at that point in time. You'll come up with enough resources just to start your rotation right back up. Now the ones I keep on my bar, Bloody Renewal. When you land the killing blow, you get 1500 stamina back. Rejuvenation gives you health, magic, and stamina recovery. Fortify gives us armor. And Balanced Vitality gives us an extra 1400 max health. Now, when it comes to the blue tree, passive-wise, Precision, Tireless Discipline, Piercing, Battle Mastery, and Mighty. Now, because we do use a couple abilities that are Magicka, I have Eldritch Insight here because I have the extra CP. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. You don't really need it. Once I keep on my bar, though, Fighting Finesse gives me an extra 10% critical damage done at all times, and critical healing. So it's nice. Now, ones that I keep on my bar, also, Biting Aura increases the area effect of my attacks by 10%, and Mastered Arms increases your damage done with direct damage attacks by 10%. Now, Thermometer Chair is usually the one that I can replace. What this does is it gives us an extra 10% damage to our damage over time effects. So, this is usually the one that I drop for whatever else. If I have a tank that is not dancing and I can stay behind the enemy, then I'm usually using Backstabber here over at Thermometer. If I feel like I just need a little more weapon and spell damage, like this isn't necessarily benefiting me, but I'm still not really able to stay behind the enemy, you can always go with Untamed Aggression. You can also go with Deadly Aim if you wanted to, but we really only have a couple of single target attacks. Wrathful Strikes would probably be my go-to one, but I did change some stuff around. I needed a little bit of healing because we had a healer that was relatively new. So Revving Blow, when you deal direct damage, you heal for 7% of the damage done. And I combined that with Bless It here, which increased my critical damage done. As you can see, if you take it all the way up, it gives you an extra 2% healing. So it's just a nice little thing here. I put that on my bar for a minute just for some extra heals. It worked out nicely. But again, Fighting Finesse, Biting Aura, Mastered Arms, Thermometer is usually the ones that I'm just kind of rolling with. I'll drop Thermometer for Backstabber if I can, or Wrathful Strikes. So, now, yeah, I didn't exit. For the sets, first 5-piece set is Deadly. Deadly Strikes. This comes in PvP. You can use Alliance points to buy it, and it's in Bruma. Now, it will cost 12k Alliance points per container. Now, the set, the jewelry in itself is relatively cheap. Like, you can get the robust jewelry for like 5k, and you can find the healthy for like 2k if people are still selling it. PS4 NA, keep in mind this is PS4 NA pricing. This could be more expensive depending on what set you're at. But Deadly, for a Stamina Templar or even a Magicka Templar, is so powerful. And what this does, it gives us weapon damage, critical weapon damage, and increase the damage your damage over time and channel abilities do by 15%. So, our jab is a channeled ability, so it is absolutely amazing. So, we're running a Nern dagger with a poison damage enchant, and a precise dagger with a flame damage enchant. The enchants can be mixed up if you want to, like you can have flame on the front bar, poison on the back bar. You can also go mace, if a precise mace, if you want a little more penetration. Like you say, your penetration goes up 3289, but our crit drops to 44.2. So, or if you wanted to, you can go with like an infused dagger, or well, I would say a charged dagger, not infused. If you wanted to drop the precise, but your crit will go down. I did a quick DPS test with the Nern dagger, the precise mace, and a Nern dagger and precise dagger. Axe, just absolutely not worth it anymore. I wouldn't even go with it. Uh, Jewelry wise, we're running 3 Bloodthirsty with weapon damage enchant. Uh, purple is absolutely fine. Purple is only going to affect your 2, 3, and 4 piece. The 5 piece will always stay 15%. Even if it's green, it will still be a 15% extra damage. So the only thing that the color is going to affect is your 2, 3, and 4. Of course, you want your weapons to be gold at least. So your jewelry, they can be purple. It's not a big deal. I'm running 3 Bloodthirsty, but you can also run 1 infused, 2 Bloodthirsty, 2 infused, 1 Bloodthirsty. It's really whatever you want to use. I don't have an execute, or you really don't have an execute in this setup. So that extra weapon damage near in the end phase, I prefer that on my Templar over the extra upfront damage from the infused. That's just me. Go with whatever you like. Back bar, we're using a Maelstrom bow infused weapon damage enchant. Basically, this just increases the damage of our volley deals. I try to keep some of these rotations as simple as possible. So that's why I'm using the bow. Now the greatsword will outperform the bow. Basically, the only difference between the two is that where the bow, you have 5, not counting the ultimate abilities that you normally use. And with the Maelstrom sword, you have 6, not counting the ultimate. So it's really just, if you're okay with that, or if you want to keep it as simple as possible, keep with the bow. If you're okay with an extra ability and you can handle that, go Greatsword. Greatsword will outperform the bow. So you get, I will say they both come from Maelstrom Arena. If you can get perfected, great. But if you have trouble going through VMA, it's not a big deal. Or Vet Maelstrom Arena, it's not a massive deal. You can get the normal ones and still do good damage with them. You don't necessarily just need perfected. So now, monster set, running Pure Theoric's mask. The Pure Theoric. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm sorry if I am. This comes from Red Petal Bastion. It's the monster set out of there. I understand Red Petal Bastion. It's a DLC dungeon, but it's really not that complicated on Vet. I got in there with a bunch of randoms and we just blew through it. It was really simple. But we're running a medium Divine's max stamina mask with a light shoulders Divine's max stamina. This is a 6-1 setup. If you want more penetration, go 5-2. I just, from the crates, I pulled Divine's shoulders, and in the dungeon I got a Divine's medium mask. So I didn't feel like reconstructing it, or just haven't yet. So if you want to, by all means, 2 light pieces for the monster set, Divine's max stamina, you'll be fine. That's honestly probably better. But what it does, it gives us weapon damage, and dealing direct damage with an area effect ability creates a 6-meter shadowy whirlwind below your enemies for 7 seconds. Enemy within the whirlwind takes 2.2k physical damage. Each second increases their damage taken from your area effect abilities by 5%. Now, every one of our abilities, except for 2, is area effect. Even if you use the Great Sword, all of them but 2 will be area effect. So, the same 2. The same 2 will be area effect no matter what. Or the same 2 will not be area effect, and you would use them with the Great Sword or the bow. So, this is just, it's nice. It works with a Sam Templar. It honestly could probably work with a Magicka Templar too. But I like this. I like the set. I've been playing with it around, and I'm enjoying it. If you don't have this set, the easiest ones to get is Crags from Fungal Grotto 1. These are non-DLC dungeons. Fungal Grotto 1, you can get Crags. It gives you penetration, and it deals a nice little bit of damage in front of you. 1.7k physical damage every 0.6 seconds for 2.4 seconds. Crags is a very easy dungeon to get into. It's Fungal Grotto 1. One of these starter dungeons. so you shouldn't have any trouble getting through it with any group. You also have Celine's Web, give you max stamina, and it deals, basically calls a bear spirit in front of you, deal 9.7k physical damage. Um, and then you can also go one piece crit, or I'm sorry, two pieces crit. Just Slime Crawl would be one of them, because it gives you the most critical chance, and follow it up with a Grindelwolf. Or go one piece Slime Crawl with like one piece Therix, because it gives you weapon damage or something like that. But if you want a full monster set mask, I would go with Stormfist. It gives you stam recovery, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create Thunderfist. Crush the enemy, dealing 2.1k shock damage every 1 second for 3 seconds to all enemies within 4 meters, and a final 17.5 physical damage. Now, if I'm not using prayers, I would use Stormfist. That's just me. But Tempest Island can be kind of difficult, especially that final boss. But as long as you hug her, and then when she does her AoE, back out, go back in, you'll be fine. That's everybody. Healer, every DPS, tank, of course. You will have no troubles just kind of getting through that dungeon. And then, of course, but Crags is probably the easiest one to get. But that's just me. I know some people pick their monster set based off of animation, the little things that they do. So, go with whatever you like. Veldreth, Prayers, two pieces crit, Celine's, Fungal. I mean, really doesn't matter. It's up to you. But I really like the monster set that I'm rolling. So if you can get it, I would definitely go with it. Now, the second 5-piece set is Dagon's Dominion. This comes from the Cauldron. It is another DLC dungeon. It is a DLC dungeon set. And basically what this does, we're running it all in the body, all divines, all with max stamina. Now what this set does, it gives us weapon damage, max stam, weapon damage, and it adds 475 weapon damage to our area effect abilities. Now, golded out, I think this is around 500 or 498, one of the two. But overall, this is absolutely amazing for a Stam Templar, because as I said before, all but two of our abilities are area effect abilities. So this powers up all of them. Now, if you are not invested in this set like I made this character when I was watching Supernatural one night, and they were facing Dagon, so I just named it Majin Dagon and went with it. And then, patch later, they released the Dagon Dominion set. So I was just like, you know what? And it was for a Stam Templar. I was like, that works. It's amazing. So I went with it. Now, if you are not invested in the set like I am, just because I find it funny, so that's why I roll with it. If you're not, you have options. You have a ton of options. If you want more crit, you can always go with Leviathan. It comes from Crypto Hearts. I guess I should show here. It comes from Crypto Hearts. It's a very easy dungeon to get into. It is one of these starter dungeons. And Leviathan gives you max stamina and a ton of crit. I think you'll be setting around 60% crit with this set. So if you feel like you need more crit, go with Leviathan. If you just want some pure power from a beginner dungeon, Automaton. A lot of the abilities are physical or bleed damaging abilities, no matter what you do. If you go dual wield, or not dual wield, if you go great sword, the abilities are physical and bleed. The bow is physical damage, so and then all your abilities are physical damage in itself. So this will boost those sets as well. There's also crafted sets. New Moon Acolyte is a crafted set, and it is an amazing set that you can roll with. If you don't have your Fire Skill leveled up, so you don't have Camouflage Stunner, you can always go with Tooth Throw. Gives you max stamina, critical weapon damage, and it gives you Major Savagery and Prophecy. At all times, increase your weapon and spell critical rating by 2.6. So you can go with that too. You have options. Now, I wouldn't recommend Tooth Throw, especially if you have access to weapon power pots. I mean, I wouldn't use that. But if you want to stick with the trash pots and get away with not using weapon power pots, then use Tooth Throw. But personally, out of the beginner sets, I would go with Leviathan over Dagon's if I had to choose. Outside of that, there's not really anything else that I would run in the beginner dungeons. Now, Overland set, Briarheart. I would go with Briarheart. It comes from Hrothgar. It's an awesome set. It gives you critical chance, max damage, critical. And when you deal critical damage, you increase your weapon and spell damage. I think this is around 454 purple, or somewhere around in there. Or it might be 450 purple. Or it might be, yeah. Either way, And then it also heals you when you deal critical damage. So you have options outside of Dagon's. But honestly, if it was me, uh, I would either roll with Leviathan or Briarheart for the starter sets. Like that would just be my choice. So Leviathan comes from Crypto Hearts, and Briarheart comes from Rothgar. You can buy it from traders. So it's just me. Skills. Our first set is Biting Jabs. Launch a relentless assault, striking enemies in front of you 4 times with your spear, dealing 4.8k physical damage to the closest enemy and 1.8k physical damage to all other enemies. Reduces movement speed. Now they made a change to this ability. This ability, when you would activate it, it used to give you Major Prophecy and Major Savagery, increasing your critical chance. Now it does not do that. Now it gives you Major Brutality and Major Sorcery, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20% for 10 seconds. So because of that change, we can now get away from using weapon power pots all the time. We can now use trash pots. So you can do that, pop a pot, and you can see what we're buffed up at. Almost 2k stamina recovery, almost 6k weapon damage. Keep in mind, this is without the weapon damage enchant proc, and our Dagon's set and Deadly Strike 5-piece set are not showing up on this weapon damage chart. So I absolutely love that change. So now you can use trash pots and get away with it. Now, like I said, trash pots and stamina pots, they both have their downfall. Trash pots give you 6k stamina, and weapon power pots give you 7.4, almost 7.5k stamina. So just use them when you feel like you need more resources. But for the most part, you can get away with trash pots now. Gives you stamina recovery and major endurance. If we get our major savagery from ability on our bar, just for it being on the bar, and we get major brutality from our jabs. So you can really not use weapon power pots now. Power of the Light. Summon expanding beam of pure sunlight to doom an enemy, dealing 4.8k physical damage to them and copying all their damage taken from you for 6 seconds and releasing 50% of it as additional physical damage to them. Maximum copy damage 17.6k. This value scales off your weapon damage. Target also afflicted with minor breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 2.9k for 9 seconds. Barb Trap. Set a sharpened blade trap your location, which takes 1.5 seconds to arm and lasts for 15 seconds. When triggered, the trap deals 4.8k bleed damage, an additional 20k bleed damage over 18 seconds, granting you minor force, increasing your critical damage by 10% for the duration. This is how we get minor force, Barb Trap. Power of the Light is just a nice little debuff with minor breach, and it also deals quite a bit of damage when it explodes. These are our only 2 abilities that are not area effect abilities. That's it. Everything else is. Repentance. Concentrate souls of the fallen, healing you and your allies for 3,000 health and restoring 3,000 stamina to you for each corpse nearby. Your allies, if you're kind of low on health, you and your allies, and you have corpse on the ground, pop this and you'll heal. It even works on Necromancer corpse, unless they changed that, but I could have sworn I was in a group with a Necro just yesterday, and I was still able to repentance off the corpse of his little bodies. And the stamina, they do not get that stamina back, only you. But while slotted, you gain minor fortitude, minor endurance, and minor intellect, increasing your health, stamina, and magic recovery by 15%. Camouflage Thunder. While slotted, you gain major savagery and prophecy. Increase your weapon and spell critical rating by 2.6k. You also gain minor berserk for 5 seconds after dealing critical damage from an enemy's flank. So, major prophecy, or not major prophecy, major savagery, and major brutality. So this is how we can get away with using trash pots now. Because at one point, this gave you major prophecy. I don't know why I keep saying that. Major savagery, and so did this. So we really didn't have anything in our kit for major brutality, but now we do. So it's worth, Flawless Dawnbreaker. Arm yourself from Meridia's Sacred Sword and dispense retribution, dealing 14.3k physical damage to enemies in front of you and an additional 16.6k physical damage over 6 seconds. After activating your weapon and spell damage is increased by 300 for 20 seconds. Area effect. This is getting a boost from everything. So, our monster set, Dagons, and I'm not really sure about Deadly, to be honest with you. We run Dawnbreaker on both bars, just to have it there, just for the extra weapon damage from the fire skill passives. If you wanted to, on the back bar, you can use Empowering Suite. Deals 10.5k physical damage to all nearby enemies. An additional 5.1k physical damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. Duration is extended by 2 seconds for each enemy hit. Gaining power for the duration, increasing damage for your light and heavy attacks by 40%. So Empowering Sweep is really good to use in big groups. But then again, so is Dawnbreaker. So it's really just up to you on what you want. Ballista is an amazing single target DPS as well. So just use whichever one that you feel is best for that situation. Back bar. Endless health. Lasts for 14 seconds. Launch a multitude of arrows into the sky to rain down, dealing 1.7k physical damage to enemies in the target area every 1 second for 12 seconds after a 2-second delay. Blazing Spear. Send your spear into the heavens to bring down a shower of divine wrath, dealing 9k magic damage to enemies in the area, an additional 906 magic damage every 1 second for 10 seconds. Ally near the spear can activate the Blessed Shard's energy, restoring 3.9k magic or stamina, whichever maximum is higher. Honestly, I didn't use Blazing Spear that much until recently. That's why it's not really leveled. I was using Ritual Retribution. This deals while in the area, puts enemies in the area. While in the area, enemies take 4k or 3.9k magic damage every 2 seconds for 12 seconds, which increases by 5% per tick. Allies in the area can activate the Purifying Synergy and cleanse all harmful effects from themselves and heal for 6.3k damage. Honestly, I would stick with Ritual Retribution. That is what I use mostly. But I was in a group earlier, right before I did this video, and Tank was complaining about not getting shards from the healer. Healer was a warden, didn't have shards, and was trying to level up on Donnet to get orbs. So I just threw on Blazing Spear. I didn't even have it morph at first, so I morphed it and just kind of put it on instead of Ritual Retribution, just to shut the tank up. But yeah, personally, I would use Ritual Retribution, even though when I DPS test it here recently, I was using Blazing Spear. So yeah, Ritual Retribution would increase your DPS even more. So Barb Trap is just here for the fire skill passives. Resolve and Vigor. Let loose a battlecry, installing yourself with Resolve and healing for 16.7k health over 4 seconds. I keep them both in my L1 because, sustain, heal, just a heal. Restoring Focus. Create a rune of Celestial Protection and gain major resolve for 20 seconds, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 6k. You also recover 242 stamina every 1 second over the duration. Standing within the rune heals you for 1.1k health every 1 second, which scales off your max health. And then again, Dawnbreaker is just here for the fire skill passive, which can easily be swapped out for either one of these two. So, DPS wise, knocked out a couple. Keep in mind I was using Blazing Spear. This first one here was with the mace. I dropped the second dagger precise for the mace, and it was 39.8. Also, this was with both daggers 40.1. So the DPS is minimal. So if you have a mace that's golded out, you can still get away with using it. DPS is a little lower, but it's up to you on what you want to use. Now I will say I started DPS testing earlier, and I was like, why am I having delay again? I didn't realize, like as you can see, 36.9, 35.9. I was having lags, especially with my light attack weaving. It just didn't seem to want to go off, and I was still kind of having trouble. I probably should have just logged in and out. It probably would have fixed that. But I wanted to mention this because I don't think I brought it up in the other videos. When you go to combat here in your ability bars, if these are on, your abilities will lag. I don't know why, but at least on PS4 NA, I have been having trouble with this. If my ability bars or timers are on, it's like my light attacks won't register for at least half a second afterwards. So when you're light attack weaving and you use your ability, let me get away because I don't want to show the effect of the monster set yet. And you light attack weave and you light attack, you can get that to go off. But for everything else, like for Ritual Retribution, my light attack wouldn't go off. Like you can see it goes off now pretty easily. But with the timer on, there was always like a full second in between. So it made it really difficult to cast, weave, cast, and then bar swap. Bar swapping went so bad, but I could never get that light attack off in between the ritual and endless health. It was always a problem with the timers on. Took timers off, it was smoother. So that's just something I want to point out. But yeah, so very easy, 40k with this setup, exact setup, CP, skills, everything. When it comes to the rotation, when you buff up, or you know what, before I actually go over the rotation, let me show what I look like fully buffed with everything. So restoring focus, we'll just throw endless hell down for that. real quick. As you can see, almost 7k weapon damage, 2k stam recovery. Weapon critical is still 47.9%. So that's kind of where we're at when it comes to overall our full buffed up self buff. So in dungeons and stuff like that, it will be higher. So rotation wise, restoring focus. You can cast it a couple times if you want to. I know some people have that compulsive need to throw it out so many times. Do it until your heart's content. I usually go Barb Trap. I'll pop a pot. Ritual Retribution, Light Attack, Endless Hell, Bar Swap, Power of the Light, Light Attack, Jab. If I have a Dawnbreaker, I'll use it. And then I'll just throw out a few jabs until Power of the Light explodes. I'll recast, Bar Swap, Endless Hell, Ritual Retribution. Usually I can Bar Swap again. I'll be able to get off like another jab, one or two, before Power of the Light re-explodes. And then just reapply Trap Beast when I need to. And just keep it going. Use my pot when I have to. Reapply Power of the Light. Use Dawnbreaker when I have it. A Templar ability rotation is very easy. So it's pretty much just going to look something like this. Like that's it. And I love that monster effect. Like that red glow around it. Like it is so cool. But yeah, that is basically it. That is pretty much how a simple rotation will look. It's very easy. You can practice at it. You shouldn't have, and as you practice, definitely practice. You don't have to use your good pots. You don't have to use your trash pots. Just get used to using it. Honestly, when it comes to DPS testing, after the first restoring focus wears out, I never recast it. The only time I really use this is in dungeons. That's it. So yeah, make it simple. You're going to buff up, trap, pot, ritual, light, hell, rotate, power of the light, light attack, jab, and then just keep jabbing. Light attack in between your abilities. And then jab, go off, power of the light, rotate, hell, ritual. Just keep it going. That's traps on your front bar too. So if you need it to cast it on your front bar, you're not on your back bar when it starts to run out, you just keep it going. It's very simple, very easy. So let me know if you're enjoying your Templar. Let me know what sets you're running on your Templar. Until next time, take care.